Donald Trump will be the last president. Donald Trump will have another term. Those are the rumors. But the whispers go deeper. Not just that Trump could be the last president, but that governments themselves may be dissolved. What comes after is already on the table. They call it post-nation governance. The systems we live in are being stress tested, and what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated.
Hello lovelies, welcome back to today's episode. This white creator is trying to warn black Americans to observe the signs of each and everything happening on this land of America and try to know that it is not like a coincidence. What is really happening is something which was already there programmed to be happen. Let's get to hear him very well. Drop your thought in the comment section, then we'll come back with more commentary.
Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated. And if that's the case, then this is dangerous info. I mean, look around. Energy grids collapsing, food systems stumbling, parliaments in constant deadlock. Leaders suddenly look incapable of solving even basic problems. That's not just bad luck. That's stagecraft. The elites are trying to abolish governments. The reason why governments around the world look incapable in the past few years, it's not random, not at all. Fact. In places like the World Economic Forum, the UN's development programs, and private think tanks, they are already talking about post-nation governance. A future where borders and politicians fade, replaced by algorithmic management. Smart cities run by code, resources distributed by digital overseers. AI not just assisting government, but being the government. Now, AI governance in itself isn't evil. It could mean fairness, efficiency, decisions made without human corruption, but only if it was neutral. Open code, public servers, oversight by truth, not profit. But that's not what's being prepared. Right now, the servers belong to corporate giants. The algorithms are written by private labs. Oversight? Nobody. Which means the people would be trading flawed governments for something worse. A control system you can't vote out, can't question, can't even see. Fact. The EU has already passed laws for AI oversight boards. Fact. The UN's 2030 agenda speaks of automated monitoring of resources and populations. Fact. Defense departments are testing predictive governance models as we speak. The collapse of trust in governments isn't an accident, it's a setup. The replacement isn't democracy reborn, it's governance by machine, owned by the same few who hollowed out the old system. Everyone thinks the future is about innovation, AI, smart cities, green energy, but that's the cover story. The real future is about reducing the human surplus without a single bullet fired. And the system that is being built makes it look like progress. In the old world, humans were assets. More people meant more labor, more soldiers, more taxpayers. But technology flipped the equation. When automation does the work, people become liabilities. They consume resources and they produce nothing. From a corporate state perspective, they are dead weight on the balance sheet. Now, what happens to liabilities in any system? They are minimized, quietly, efficiently. You don't announce population reduction. You don't draft policies that say, time to eliminate 800 million people. You design the environment so people self-select out of life. First, you control food economics. Make real nutrition a luxury. Flood markets with synthetic hyper-processed calories. Why? Cheap to make, addictive to consume, and lethal over time. obesity, diabetes, cancers. It's slow-motion euthanasia disguised as personal choice. And then you privatize survival systems, hospitals, medicine, insurance, turn health into a product, and when the bill comes and you can't pay, nature takes its course. No violence, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, you flood culture with distractions, war headlines, influencer drama, ideological cage matches, so no one notices the algorithm that decides who thrives and who quietly disappears. People think they are arguing politics, but in reality they are debating inside the zoo enclosure, while the zookeeper holds the keys to their lifespan. This isn't genocide. It is market-driven selection, a corporate Darwinism where the unprofitable simply phase out. And the punchline? They don't kill you. They invoice you until you die. This is the most profitable extinction in human history. And is happening in slow motion while everyone thinks they are free. If you want to see the future, don't look at science fiction. Look at the small experiments already happening today. Because the systems we live in are being stress tested, and what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. We are moving into a world where nations are not only divided by borders, but by information itself. China has the Great Firewall, Russia is building the RUNET, the EU speaks of digital sovereignty. Soon your passport won't just decide where you can travel physically, it will decide what you can know digitally. Whole populations will be sealed into national intranets, and inside those walls, communities will be isolated into algorithmic silos. You can already see it on social media today. What happens in one community never reaches another. And then comes the economy. Central bank digital currencies are already being piloted. Once programmable money replaces cash, every transaction can be limited by category, by location, and even by your carbon footprint. Rationing will not arrive at your door with soldiers. It will arrive with a line of code in your digital wallet. And at the same time, information itself becomes synthetic. Entire leaders or movements may be AI generated and indistinguishable from the real thing. AR and AI media will allow two people standing on the same street to see entirely different realities. One sees calm, the other sees chaos. And this isn't fantasy, it's already possible. And protest itself? Crowd control is shifting from buttons to behavior. Sound and frequency weapons exist today. Now extend that forward. Emotional dampening at scale. A city where outrage never ignites because the very environment suppresses anger. Punishment shifts from prison to digital exile. You're free to walk the street, but cut off from banking, ID, and transport. Social death replaces physical bars. This is the trajectory. A world digitally and physically fragmented, where communities cannot compare notes, economies run on programmable scarcity, and consensus reality itself is manufactured. None of this is speculation. Each piece is already being tested. The wild future is built one quiet pilot program at a time. So the question isn't whether the future is coming. The question is who writes the rules of it and whether we accept the cage because it looks like safety. Stay close. The next glimpse is already here. You look at the West and you think we are living the dream. But let me show you the truth with numbers. In Europe, the richest 10% own about 60% of everything. In the United States, the top 1% alone hold almost a third of all wealth. And the bottom half together, they own just 2%. Now look at Africa. The richest 1% just 1 in 100, own about half of everything. In South Africa, the top 10% control more than 80% of the country's wealth. Do you see the pattern so far? It's not you against us. It's all of us beneath the same pyramid. Yes, there are differences. Here in the West, poverty is hidden behind clean streets and credit cards. People live in houses that belong to the banks, drive cars that belong to finance companies, and buy food on debt. I know it looks like comfort. It isn't, and it's actually control. In Africa, inequality is even more visible. The mansions of the few stand out against the struggles of the many. But the design is the same. A tiny elite holding everything while the majority carry the weight. We are actually more alike than you think. You are told that we are rich, but most of us are drowning in debt, stress, poison food, and illusions. And we are told you are poor, but your lands are rich, your spirit is strong, and still the same sharks feed on you. So let's be clear. The problem is not that Africans lack or that Westerners have. The problem is that everywhere, the wealth of nations is captured by the few, while the many are told stories to keep them divided. So, you think we are your enemy? We were told you are ours. But the truth is actually simpler than that. We are all being lied to. And as long as we believe the lie, the pyramid stands. Right now, multiple regions are in open unrest. Nepal, France, Serbia, Mali, Iran. And they have different contexts, but the signal is the same. Societies have reached their breaking point. Human populations under stress follow a measurable cycle. First, adaptation. People absorb shortages, restrictions, and corruption. But when the perception shifts from temporary measures to permanent hardship, tolerance collapses. And that is the inflection point we are seeing. And once that threshold is crossed, protests emerge not as isolated events, but as collective declarations that the existing trajectory is no longer acceptable. At the same time, power structures are not passive. Crises can be exploited, accelerated, or even manufactured. In Nepal, the social media ban wasn't only a policy error. It was a trigger that activated a combustible population. In France, blockades are fueled not just by anger at government paralysis, but also by competing political forces who benefit from destabilization. In Mali, the junta's moves to dissolve parties are a calculated attempt to consolidate control, even at the cost of unrest. This is where geopolitics and human behavior converge. The grievances are real, but the ignition points are often managed. Leaders know that collapse can be functional. It resets the board, creates justification for emergency measures, and reshapes the rules of governance. Protest movements become both authentic expressions of discontent and instruments in larger strategic games. So we are looking at a hybrid phenomenon. From the bottom up, populations reacting to the erosion of dignity and resources, and from the top down, systems that tolerate or even encourage disruption in order to pivot a new order. The central question is not whether protests are real or engineered, because they are both. The critical issue is, who harnesses the energy once it erupts? And if captured by entrenched power, the cycle of control tightens. And if it remains with the people, the trajectory shifts.
This white creator is trying to warn Black Americans to observe the signs of each and everything happening on this land of America and try to know that it is not like a coincidence. What is really happening is something which was already there programmed to be happen. He's trying to let them know you need to be very careful. You need to take attention of each and everything. You need to start reading between the lines, because when you see this current administration, whatever they are doing, they are trying to go against your rights. They are trying to make each and everything hard for you. When you see them trying to bring all these new policies, don't think that they don't know what they are doing. This man is trying also to educate us more across the world what is really happening. When you try to hear him very well, he's trying to say that people need to be very careful, because the system which is now operating across the world, it is something which was there. It is something they sat down and calculate. When we are sitting here praising, clapping that AI is doing wonders, is helping us, is making a lot of work easier, people need to know that if you don't be careful, this AI we are praising, they may start to replace human people, because the technology where it's going, it is something really alarming. This is not something you need to be proud of. You don't need to clap for each and everything you are see like innovation, because this man is trying to say, whatever you see happening right now, when you see that on this land of America, try to see what is really happening. People are starting to lose connection with each other. Social media before has been there like something which will connect people, like a small village. People will share information in a second, but this time around, they are trying to put a system in order so that in the coming future, you may see some people starting to have disconnect each other. Algorithm will start to let some people know this information while others don't know nothing about it. It may start to separate people from the rest of the world. This man, when you try to hear him, what he's trying to say, we can't say that is something really 100%. But when you try to observe it on this issue of America, it has been for so long they try to disconnect TikTok in America. You could ask yourself, why this time around they don't want American people to have same TikTok with the rest of the world? Why they don't want to have the same one? Why they are telling them in March they are going to disconnect this TikTok we know, and they will give them their only TikTok which will only operate on this land of America? Why they are trying to disconnect American people from the rest of the world? What is the meaning of this? This man, the wonder, is trying to say people need to wake up, listen, especially Black Americans. When you know you are the most targeted people, though each and everything this man is trying to say, I think it's not something new in the ears of Black people, because Black people, they are always active, they are awake, they know what is really happening. Though it's trying to make people, like education purposes, is trying to make people listen up, is trying to make people understand that what is really happening, it's not something people will take like a normal things. When you try to see him saying, why would you see in this whole world the government are collapsing, a lot of big powers, they are falling apart in a way we never expected, some nations, they are falling apart in a way we never expected. Like, have you ever think that we are going to hear the fall of France? Have you ever seen the way France is crying for help? They no longer have a budget. After they send them away from African colony, this time around, they no longer have any money. They even know what to do this time around. When you try to see, the system, a colonial system, has been there controlling the whole world. But this time around, when you start to see something started to collapse here and there, it's not like it's something some people don't know anything about it. It's sometimes they try to change the system from one system to another, but some people may clap that things are going better. But when you try to read between the lines, each and every one happening, it's something which was programmed already. When we are seeing that these colonialists, when they come in Africa, in Europe, wherever, those time it was time of kings. This time around, this leadership of president, also they are starting to collapse in a way we don't know. What is next? What is going to come the next? If we are talking American people complaining about DT the way he's making things hard, according to them, they couldn't understand how they came out to vote for him, but this time around, it looks like they made a big mistake according to the policies he's using right now. Some people, they are trying even to say this man is look like a dictator. How come he no longer care about the citizens? How come he's trying to make America life so hard on American people? It's like it's something they knew. It's like it's something you can't even tell that how come it's moving in this way. Guys, let me know what you think today's episode. Drop your thought in the comment section. What do you think this white man is talking about? Do you think people need to take attention of each and every message? Drop your thought in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in my next episode.